We're back. We're back. We're back. I'm George Mossey. It's the George Mossey Show. So we just watched Happily Ever After, the finale, and we're getting into this 5-part tell-all where we get to watch them live in a house and there's all this drama. But I wanted to get into this last episode of the season so we can unpack that before we get into the hi everyone. Before we get where it kind of looked like Angela was kicking Michael out of the house. So I want to get into that too, because I'm a little interested in, your thoughts, because we got a little more insight on Angela this episode and some stuff that she was withholding. Hey, hello.
Long time no see.
Right? I haven't seen you in a couple of hours. Yeah. So we're waiting on Dee Dee, but this was an interesting finale, right? Like we watched some stuff happened with Manuel and Ashley where we found out that he was actually using her money. Well, we don't know why specifically. Oh wait, Dee Dee's here. Before we get started, let's get Dee Dee in here too, because I want to get into this Manuel and Ashley talk too, and I feel like this was, the most insight that Manuel has given. He's been very secretive. So, howdy.
Hey, sorry.
Welcome.
I was like, oh my gosh, he done beat me. I was supposed to text you like, what time?
Well, it was supposed to be 10. I can't do anything on time. It's just something.
You always late, George. That's all right though.
But I wanna get into this finale though, because I know the tell-all is gonna supersede anything that happened tonight from the preview. But what do you think about this Manuel and Ashley situation? Because we saw that Manuel said that he took the $1,000 and he's been spending all the money for his bills in Ecuador. Now, Twitter seems to think his bills in Ecuador or another family, right? There's like kids, a wife, something like that. He seems to think that we believe he's paying his credit card bills. So my question, if you're moving to another country and you're never going back to that country, why the hell would you pay the credit card bills? Like, or am I crazy, right? If I knew I was leaving the U.S. and never coming back, I would leave all of my bills unpaid, right? Like, does it make sense to pay them? Can they extradite you back to the U.S. over a credit card bill?
No, but exactly what you said, what Twitter said, what Ashley's mom said, he has another family here. Oh, wait, that's exactly what Dee Dee and I said.
Well, yeah. Well, you guys have been telling me that he has a family in the U.S. Do you think that he has multiple families? Because that's where I was going to go. I was like, what if he does have kids in Ecuador, but what if he also has a wife and kids in the U.S.? Like, this whole situation is complex.
I don't think his wife and kids are in Ecuador. Me and Car's been telling everybody from the get-go. The lady that he says is his cousin, that's his wife.
Yes.
The kids that are in the background, those are his children.
So do you think he's sending money to Ecuador, or you think he's just sending money to New York to these people, to his family?
Yeah.
And I think
it's going to New York.
What's interesting is that Ashley can't seem to figure out the scam, right? Like, she's trying to figure it out. Her mom figured it out pretty early on, and her sister. Ashley's family, I'm going to go ahead and say they were born with the common sense that, everyone doesn't have. Ashley was the one that was omitted from that common sense trait. She can have the information right in front of her. She can't process it. And her mom was just like,
witch.
Well, yeah, she's a clairvoyant witch, right? She actually has a website. I've been on it. I have verified where you can go on and pay her to tell you how to make better decisions through her gift of being able to see the future. And she doesn't even know what Manuel is doing with the money that she gives.
Also, guys, you can send me money and I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to have a better life once I get my life figured out.
Well, right. Like, and you know how you see your therapist in public and they're like doing something crazy and you're thinking like, oh my God, this is the person that I've been taking advice from. Like, because you see your therapist and you're leaving the grocery store and they're getting arrested or something. You're just like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, they're shoplifting from the Target. And you're like, what is happening here? That's kind of how I feel. It's the blind leading the blind. Like, Ashley has convinced people online, because remember, she said that she had to protect her business because once it becomes $1 million company, she has to make sure that Manuel can't take that $1 million business from her. Yeah. High expectations for a woman who didn't predict it rained in hurricane season in Tampa, Florida, right?
Yeah, she.
Oh, that woman is not no witch. She ain't no clairvoyant. She is delusional. I done told y'all. Y'all wanna have a good witch. My friend's a witch. How many times I gotta tell y'all that?
I'm scared
How many
of
times?
witches. I'm scared. I'm scared that they're.
There ain't no sense in being scared. As long as you don't do nothing wrong to them, they won't do nothing to you.
Well, I'm scared that I piss somebody off and then they get a witch to like curse me or something. Like that's what I'm terrified of. Right? Like I say something someone doesn't like. This has happened before, right? And somebody gets a witch to curse me or something, and then I'm like trying to everything that I try to accomplish goes wrong and I can't figure out why, and it's because I'm cursed. Right? Oh, I want to talk about Gino and Jasmine because it kind of looked like they were breaking up on this episode. They were sleeping in different hotel rooms. And we found out that Gino had filed 80% of her paperwork. And there was like, I'm assuming 1 or 2 documents, something left for him to file. And she's pissed off. And he was like, you can go back to Panama now and just leave. You don't have to come back and I can rid you from my life altogether. And it's like, who is this man? Who is this? Gino,
I love it.
he has literally done a 360. Like I remember from when she ripped the hat off of his head and was throwing things at him and screaming at him, and he was literally scared of her. So he is like, and she's like, get out of this room. He's like, nah, you can get out of this room. He was like, who is this guy? Like he has this newfound self-respect and confidence. And I think that years of dealing with someone being so negative towards you, right? And being so degrading towards you and so mean towards you, I think it builds that up. And he realized that, what am I doing in this relationship? They don't have sex. No matter what he does, because the one thing I noticed today, no matter what Gino does, it always falls short of her expectations.
Yeah.
Because he's like, well, what about all the things that I've done right? And what about all, and she always finds something that he could have done better. You know, when you go for your performance review at work, and you know you're doing a good job, and you know that there's an employee at your job that is way worse off than you, but for some reason your manager finds a paragraph of things you could do better, and you're looking like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? If it wasn't for me, this place would literally go up in flames. But you're gonna tell me, and I kind of feel like that's how Gino feels. He's like, I get it. It is difficult. I do like to sympathize and have a little empathy with her because she did leave her kids and her life overseas. But like Gino said, if you really wanted to go back and see your kids, if you really wanted that, I'm not stopping you. You know, so it's
sympathize with her. That choice she made. She made that choice. Nobody made that choice for her.
Right. She decided.
George, we're gonna agree to disagree on this because first of all, she don't even care about her children. Because if she cared about her children, she would have fought to have custody of her children. She don't even have custody of her children.
Right.
And then the only one that she supposedly was supposedly having anything to do with was her little boy that she had on TV, which I don't even think is really her son. And then I think it was just like someone that she just wanted to put in there. I don't think
So
that's her son. I
kid.
do think that her sister is her daughter, though. I do think that.
She only has one boy. I sent it to George. I'll send it to you. But
so wait, what about Wansei? Is that the one that was on the show? Is that her son?
Hold on, I gotta find it.
I don't think
because I did. You sent me
to be honest
a
with you, I don't think that's her son. I really don't. So, I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
We know leading up to this situation where they're going to end up, right? Like there's 3 couples on this season of Happily Ever After that are going to end up on The Last Resort. Like everybody, and for those of you who didn't know, sorry, spoiler alert, there are 3 couples on this season that are going to end up on The Last Resort. And for this Gino and Jasmine situation, you know, we've been hearing a lot of different information. Like I heard from Shabuti on one of our Twitter spaces that Jasmine's new man, the woman that Gino was photographed with, is actually the new man's ex-girlfriend. So it's kind of like they did a little swap. Now, Gino is very vocal on saying that it's nothing but a platonic friendship. Like they are bonding over the fact that their spouses left each other for each other. It's nothing specifically like, oh my God, I'm going to be with you now. What do you guys think about that? Like the woman, you've seen the pictures, right? They were floating around. It was Gino and this pretty dark-haired woman, right? She's beautiful. This is the guy that Jasmine is with now. This was his ex-girlfriend. So they kind of
We'll
found each
find
other.
out. I think we'll find out on the single life.
So, well, yeah, we have heard that they are filming that, and if you didn't, sorry, spoiler again.
Both.
Yeah, but separately. So we are, because they use them too frequently on too many different seasons to let them just break up and just be done with the franchise. They've invested too much time and money into this. Guys, remember they went on before the 90 days and then immediately 90 Day Fiance, then immediately Happily Ever After. We barely got a break in between. And Jasmine has been on almost the same amount of seasons as Emily, and like in such a short amount of time, Jovi and Yara, like they've really built this up. So it's, and also Big Ed, you know, we've heard that Big Ed is going to be on The Single Life, which no one wants. But again, the network has put so much time and money into building up this name. And he's still
Are we
under.
going to be able to skip him? I mean, you're not going to traumatize us, are you, George?
Well, this is information that has been leaked, that he's going to be on it. And Ashley and Manuel are going to be on The Last Resort, and Gino and Jasmine, as well as Sophie and Rob. And what did you guys think of the interaction between Sophie and Rob? So Rob broke up with her. He left. He gets in the car. He drives away. He gets a call from Sophie. He's halfway back home, and she wants him to come back. But when he gets there, he's like, well, what do you want? Why am I here? And she just starts screaming at him. And she's like, well, I just keep giving you chances. So what does it mean that she's giving him chances? She gave him a chance, right? And then they got married. She found out that he was online cheating, and she moved out. And then she's like, I keep giving you chances. And what does that mean? Because she's living separate from him for over a year. They don't have any communication. He's spending birthdays without her. He's doing everything without her. And I'm trying to understand what she wants. You ever heard that saying, getting a straight answer out of a 22-year-old girl is impossible? That saying is very, very accurate when it comes to Sophie, because even when Rob asked, well, what do you want? When Kay asked, what do you want? She doesn't know which. I've never gotten a real answer out of what Sophie wants. She just keeps saying, well, I don't know. And it's, how do you manage to be married to someone that...
She wants her Kay and eat it too.
Does she really believe that he's gonna just live separately from her and not date around and let her do whatever she wants? What world is this? What universe do people do that?
That's why she's saying, I should have been the one to break up with you, blah, blah, blah. She is absolutely upset that he cut ties, that he's done. I mean, he saw through her.
He should have done this. She's been gone for a year. He should have done this 8, 9, 10 months ago. Like, if you decide to separate, separation is the first step to divorce. They've been separated for a year. And not only that, she's bisexual and living with a girl that's clearly in love with her. She's clearly in another relationship. Like, Rob should have had his big boy pants on and divorced her a month after she left. Like, look, if you don't want to come back and try to work out this relationship, what are we doing other than you're using me to stay in this country and live a completely separate life than me? Because that's literally what she's doing. She's living when he went over to break up with her, did you notice in the scene, he was like, I'm not even 100% sure which apartment she lives in. Yeah. He wasn't sure. Like, can you imagine you're married to somebody for over a year and you don't even know where they live? Yeah. What the hell is that?
Can you imagine getting your Squishmallow thrown back in your face?
Well, she wanted it. Apparently,
side out to show she was sad.
She wanted it back, which I thought was funny, because I was like, well, you don't want him, but you want the Squishmallow. Just like you don't want him, you want the green card. It's so funny, because when we started out with them, I couldn't stand Rob. Yeah. I really couldn't stand Rob. I actually got to meet him this past week in LA, and he's nothing like what I thought. But like, watching this relationship unfold and seeing what Sophie was really doing to him, I feel so much better knowing that I see him differently, and I've stopped being so judgmental towards him, because I really thought I knew what was going on with him in their relationship, and then watching what he went through, and then watching the way that she treated him, and then thought that she could live a separate life from him and use him, and the whole thing just blew my mind. And I'm just really happy he's getting his vindication, right? Because when we met, I was like, are you happy that you're finally getting your vindication? People are seeing you for who you really are. And he was like, it feels nice to have people saying positive things about you for a change. He's like, for over a year, everyone just hated me. And I was like, yeah, I did too. I hated you. And I was like, but now I really do see that you went through a lot of shit with her, It wasn't that you were this horrible, lying, cheating piece of garbage that she describes. She's a pretty awful person too, right? Like, I'm beginning to see that now.
Also, who's
Well,
gonna
I
break
think
his
that is the reason why she got upset is because she was wanting to hold on to him for so long because she knew that if he left her, if they got divorced, that she wouldn't get her green card. So she was stringing him along, and then once once she found out that he was done with everything, that's whenever she started losing it because she was no longer in control. It was okay while she was in control, but once she lost that control, then she got mad.
Well, mad in the form of fake tears. She started
Yeah,
crying like
exactly.
she was so hurt. And she was like, how could you leave me? I should be the one to leave you. And I was like, well, you did leave him a year ago. Yeah, that's literally what you did. You left him. He's just finishing the job, right? Like, you left him. The only thing left to do is to end it on paper because he's been alone for literally a year. He's not been in a relationship. And then you made him feel like if he was to be in a relationship, he's doing something wrong.
Right.
That's what.
Also, who's gonna break it to her that you don't get a throat infection from stress?
Oh no, you get a. You know what? I almost said what I. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that on this, but yes, I know where you get those. I haven't had one, but I know what she's been doing.
Yep.
And
well, y'all know what she's been doing,
you know what
George.
she's been doing, and it's very interesting to me that she thinks that she's the stressed out person in this situation. Right, like I mean, I get it. She's worried about the status of her green card. Because let's be realistic. Do you think Rob has been working on her paperwork while she's been gone for the last year? Absolutely not.
He's stupid. If he has, he's stupid.
Right? You have to be an idiot. If she left you a month after y'all got married and never came back, you could possibly be sending in any type of paperwork to adjust her status. I would literally call and tell them to come get her. Like, look, I don't know her. She belongs to the streets. I don't even know where she stayed. You know, like, y'all should come get her. Like, I have nothing to do with that mistake.
I agree.
So Michael and Angela, right? So we're watching their Christmas and everything, and we find out that Angela broke the phone. So after that huge confrontation in Nigeria with the Paradise Boys and everything she found on the phone, she asked him to delete the group chat or the group. I don't know if it was a Facebook group, right? So she asked him to delete the Facebook group. He says he did. He's still getting notifications. You and I, all of us know that if you remove yourself from a Facebook group, you will not get notifications from it anymore. So he did not delete notifications or leave the group. So she destroys his phone and thinks that everything is good. And I'm thinking he could just activate a new phone and sign into all of the apps that he used to have.
Absolutely.
So in my opinion, Angela is helping Michael scam her, because she still brought him over here knowing that he lied to her literally right before they left and came from the Ivy Coast to Hazelhurst. And now they're to this point where she wants to have a private investigator, which Riley would have told her from the very start. It's the first thing you do. Yep. You need to figure out what's going on. And Skyla's actually in the dark with all of this. So Angela is really interesting because she keeps saying that she's the victim, but she's withholding information. Because Skyla's sitting there learning the information with the private investigator. But she's like, well, you didn't tell me there was a woman named Cheetah, and you didn't tell me about the app on the phone, and you didn't tell me. And it's like she's protecting Michael, and I'm trying to understand, why are you protecting someone that you know is doing shady shit to you? And I get it. 7 years, $30,000 worth of, this is the whole all-in cost, right? Like, she purchased a decent SUV in the form of Michael. I get it. She wanted to hold on to that, but it's like, now that you brought him here, you kind of screwed yourself over, right? Like, now that he's here, and once they get here and he's on a spousal, this isn't a K1, they're already married. So once he gets here and his feet touches the soil, he's not obligated to leave. There's no annulment, there's no rejection of the visa. He's here.
Yep.
And I feel like she set herself up and put herself in this situation, and now she screwed herself over. And Skylar's looking at her like, you did this. Like, all you had to do was leave his ass where he was at, and none of this. And at the tell-all, there's a 189-page report. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. What do you think that there was 189 pages worth of stuff that they found on Michael online? What is this?
I
Oh, then
don't think it's gonna
what
go.
he got?
Because remember, Michael wasn't even allowed online. So apparently Michael was online because there's 189 pages. And I'm thinking, like, that's longer than Shekinah's love letter. That's a lot of shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is a lot of stuff. So I'm thinking, and he didn't say it was a criminal record. He just said this was like usernames, activity on, he said the dark web, the gray web. I didn't even know there was a gray web. Apparently there's a gray web. So he said that he could find everything, anything that touched the internet that originated from Michael, he found. So what do you guys think Michael was doing online? Because we know that the Paradise Boys was where they were pairing other Nigerian men with American women. Do you think he was actually running the marriage sting that Lydia was, that Chantel's mom was accusing Lydia of running? Like, he was literally actually pairing American women with Nigerian men?
I hope so. I hope he's got his pockets full of money so that he can live a super happy life once he gets here. Because, man, if anybody deserves a freaking green card, it's him.
7 years, right? 7 years.
Yeah,
I was
at
ready
this
to
point,
apply for a spousal visa with him. Just
It's funny because Michael plays like he's not the smartest tool in the shed. I'm beginning to think
he's
Michael is
smart.
he's way more smarter than we give him credit for.
He
And
deserves to have a good life over here because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think in the beginning, to be honest with you, well, let me rephrase what I'm fixing to say. I think it was all a scam from the beginning, but I think over a time he did start or did fall in love with Angela. But then when Angela turned on him the way she did, then that's when he got even more into his scam that he was doing. I mean, because we've always said from the get go that he's scamming her. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
yeah, that has been the consensus. Do you think that it shifted when she got her surgery? People online think that when Angela changed her outer
Yes.
appearance, they said that her inner self changed too. So do you think that maybe the love that he had for her changed because when she got snatched, her attitude changed a lot.
I mean, I don't know if I'd go as far as snatch.
Well, she attempted to get
When
snatched, right?
Yeah.
Like,
when she got the surgery and she started receiving all of that money from TLC and she got the surgery, she let it go to her head. I've said this before in just about every one of our podcasts when it comes to them. She was not this part. I mean, she's always had a ugly side to her. We've seen her on the Mari show. We've seen her on this other stuff. But she really, once she got that surgery and once she started getting all that TLC money, and I'm not going to say she's famous because she's not famous, but whenever she got into the public eye the way she did, she let it go to her house, and her head. I'm sorry, and that's when she just started like bullying him, and I think he lost their respect and love he did have for her at that time, and that's whenever the scamming really started.
But also, I feel like when they got married and when they did the show, this is a partnership now, right? We're together, we're married. What's yours is mine, what's mine is yours, kind of thing. Well, then Angela takes money and goes and gets all these surgeries that he begs her not to. So he had to recoup some of his funds somehow, right? So
true. She did still. They were married, and she did still treat her money as her money. Mm-hmm. I do remember that because she was making decisions because he was like, don't you feel like you doing all of this should be something that we discuss as a couple because we're married? And she looked at it as, it's my money. I can do whatever I want. Yeah. And I think that's kind of probably where the shift started. Like you said, it's possible that he started out in love with her. It's very possible because 7 years is a long time to commit to a scam, right? That's a really long time. The payoff took that long. So I think maybe when she changed, it was easier for him to scam her because he didn't like the person she had become.
Yeah.
And it was just easier. He's like, well, I don't like you anymore, but I like what I can get from this situation, so I'm going to stick with it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the shift. Because everybody keeps saying, even after her surgery, they were like, she was prettier before.
Yeah.
And I think they mean like as a full human being, as a full like outer and inner. She was funny. She was always telling jokes. She was happy. She was giddy. And now, if you notice, every time we encounter her, she's angry and irritable, and she's not the same person that we met on that first season. She was just giddy all the time and just happy and excited. And I just remember her excitement going over to Nigeria and seeing him. And now when she sees him, she's side-eyeing him all the time. And it's a different vibe and relationship. And it's like,
I also want to touch base on her house. You
Yeah.
got 5
Yeah.
that are all perfectly capable of picking up after themselves and or cleaning something, plus an adult woman. Why does that house look like that? There's no
I was shocked, right? And she has decent income from the show. Like, you know, there's this one app that you can like have a housekeeper come to your house like once a week. It's like $50 or $60. It's not even expensive, and they just come and do like minor cleaning. Because you're right, there's a lot of people there, all able-bodied, all old enough to do chores, right? When I was a kid, we did chores. We didn't just lay around the house. You know, we loaded dishwashers, we unloaded, we folded clothes, we swept, we took out trash. Like, when I was growing up, we did things around the house. And to see the way that her house looks with all those people in it, right? All these people who could be putting in work, it's kind of strange. And the way that she had Michael doing laundry, I was like, does she think Michael's the housekeeper? Because I was like, because she was like, Michael, you can help clean my room, and you can do. And I'm like, he's not the housekeeper though. That's your husband. Like,
imagine how everything in that house has to smell like cigarettes. Everything, those kids' clothes, everything.
Yeah, and her car. Did you see she was smoking in the car?
Yeah, smoking.
The car was so small.
Smoking.
Also, with all them grandkids, how you got a car that small?
Yeah.
Where do they go? I'm so confused. Like, the whole thing was very confusing for me.
Well, she said she told Michael to wash, dry, and then fold. Well, from the looks of it, she hasn't been washing, drying, and folding.
She was just throwing clothes everywhere. I mean, she said it was from packing, but she was just kind of just tossing stuff everywhere, which it's okay. I want to talk about Emily, because Emily is pregnant with baby number 3, which we already know because baby number 3 is here, right? So we know this, but it's Atom. But she told her mom and dad, and they did not welcome this information happily, because for the last 5 years, they've been housing Emily and Kobe and Coben and Scarlett. And, you know, out of the grace of their heart, they're good people. They've given them every opportunity for success. And I think that's every parent's job, right? Your job is to set up your children for the best possible opportunity for success, whatever means necessary, right? Like, as long as you give them all the tools that they need so they can make that leap. And they're just wondering, when is the leap going to happen, right? So Emily is approved for a house, but she's looking for like the house. Yeah. And Kobe looks at it as, if it's got a roof and a toilet and a sink, we're good to go, right? And Emily's more like, I want my house to be my forever home, or my happy place, or something that my children will enjoy, which I feel both sides of that. It took me over a year to find my house, right? Like, I saw my realtor wanted nothing to do with me, right? They would just show me things, and I'd be like, no. And it took me over a year. So I get that. But when you're living in your parents' basement and their one request is, hey, do not have another child in my house, and you do it twice, you know, even because Kobe seemed more worried about it. He was like, we can't have another child in these people's house. Because Emily was just like, you know, whatever, what are they going to do, kick me out? They might, right? At this point, they might. Like, they're definitely at their wits' end. And I feel like Emily might be the one to push the envelope too far, right? Like, I feel like she would stay there forever. And I think her parents are a little bit of an enabler, because they've made it such a easy life for her not to try to do anything on her own. I feel like, because I get it, they're like, oh, well, we love her and we would never kick her out. Sometimes a little bit of tough love and an ultimatum, or like, pay me rent, you know, sometimes those are the things needed to put that fire under people. And I feel like if Emily could have convinced Kobe to not want to leave, they would still be there right now, right?
Kudos to Kobe for staying respectful to her parents and not just automatically siding with Emily the way she wanted.
Well, it pissed her off.
Yeah,
but
but he handled it well. He stayed respectful to the parents. He's holding true to his promise. He's trying to do all the right things. But in Emily's defense, she's got pregnancy brain. She's got pregnancy hormones. We're lucky she's not crying through the whole damn show. I mean, good on her.
That's a good point. When a woman is pregnant, her feelings and everything are so elevated and unstable, right? So yelling at a woman who's pregnant and be like, you need to buy a house and move out. That's a lot to put on someone who's already going through a lot. She's also a mother of two, right? Kobe works full time. So there's a lot going on in her mind that a lot of people don't see.
Right.
And she probably also deep down might actually feel a little bad for the situation. She will never admit it because she's Emily, but she might actually feel bad. Yeah, she might actually be embarrassed.
She's 32. If I was living with my parents when I was 32, I would feel a little bad.
Well, right. I think deep down she does, and I think that's why she got like such an attitude towards the end where she had to walk out, because she kept saying like, I've told y'all I want to move out. I got approved already. And I think the pressure of them making her feel like, well, you should have done this already, I think it got to her. You know, because I think in the back of her mind, she does feel like, they're right, I probably should have left 4 years ago, right? Like, and you know, I don't believe in kicking people while they're down. Like, she was already down. Like, she was down for the count, and then her parents kind of kept digging. They were like, well, we might have to give you an ultimatum, and we might have to push it. She gets it, but I do understand that they don't want to have her at 42 with 5 kids.
Right.
Basement, right? So at some point, you do have to put your foot down. Spoiler alert, though, I saw pictures of their new house. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. Humongous. I don't know if y'all saw the pictures. One of the bloggers posted the inside of the house. $311,000. Beautiful place, though. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to get to see those pictures on the tell-all. They're going to talk about it on the tell-all.
Nice.
I'm happy for them, right? I feel like they're very respectful of the space. Like, some people take advantage of it, and I feel like they've been very respectful of the opportunity that they were given, right? Like, they didn't, and when they see that their welcome was beginning to be worn out, that's when they took action, and that's all that you can really ask for, right? Like, your parents are never going to tell you, get the hell out of my house, but there will be signs, right? There will be signs, and they read those signs, and they were respectful about it. So I respect them both. I think Emily, she takes on a lot being a mom, a stay-at-home mom of 3 little tiny kids. It reminds me a lot of Lauren's situation. I don't envy that, right? Like, I'm not trying to make fun of her in any way. I feel like she's got a lot, and she also has to deal with her parents being in the house. I would have, I don't know, I would get on a spaceship and go to another planet. If I had to live with my mom is an amazing person, but living together, it never worked. I had to move. I was 18, I think, when I got my first apartment, because she's just a very overbearing, controlling, you know, it's just not like walk in your room without knocking, like just a lot for me. So I respect Emily to the utmost that she was able to live there and stay respectful of them and their space.
Yeah, I agree.
So Alessi's birthday party finally happened. I kind of forgot about it because all of the drama that happened upcoming to that, but we finally got to see it.
It wasn't even a birthday party. This was a 6-month party, they said.
Oh, was that what that was? A 6-month? I thought it was her second birthday party. So this was like a half birthday.
He said something about a 6-month party.
Oh, well, thanks for the badge, Donna. You don't have to do that. Well, that party was nicer than my party. So Alessi is definitely in a good family. If Patrick would like to adopt me and you and Dee Dee, our DMs are open. My birthday's in June.
Definitely.
Right? My birthday's in June. So I was happy to see them actually having the party and getting along, because I felt like there was so much drama between the families. But the best part was this conversation that Patrick had with his dad. And he had that serious conversation about, you know, you weren't there for me. And I've really, really been hurting about it. And he cried, and his dad actually apologized. And I feel like it was a nice moment, because Patrick's dad said, you know, with or without the apartment, I think it's really important that, you know, our relationship is our relationship and it's not going to change. And I thought that was really important. And, you know, Patrick said his whole life that his dad never apologized for not being there, and I think that was important. So I feel like
But
that conversation is so overdue.
It lost all of its meaning to me when he said, I didn't have my dad either. So what? Doesn't that tell you to do things differently? Don't we do things differently than the way we were raised? We see what was wrong when we were raised, so we try to correct that in raising our children. That comment by itself just really it took away.
Well,
That
I think
that pisses me off. That pisses me off whenever people say, "Well, I didn't have, I'm treating my children this way because I didn't have my parents growing up." You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Well, so what? I mean, like you just said, Cara, if you don't have your parents whenever you're growing up, you need to try to be a better parent than what you had.
Yep.
I mean, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that bullshit all the time. Talking about, well, I didn't have my parents, or well, I didn't, well, I didn't. So what? You gotta break that what do you call that? Generational curse that you got. You know what I'm saying? So I mean that right there pissed me off.
Yep.
So what? I mean, that man don't even care about Patrick. To be at the end of the day, that man does not love his son.
No.
The only thing he sees is dollar signs. That's it. He was sitting there emotionless, like it didn't even bother him.
Yep.
And then he had the audacity to say, "Well, I didn't even have my dad."
Yeah.
Like seriously?
Yep. It took all the warm-hearted fuzziness away completely.
yeah.
That man is using Patrick. He is using him for money.
Well, he said it. He was like, I can't really make it without the money that you give, the expense for my expenses. And I'm thinking like, your expenses are not his responsibility. And I hate that Patrick is so emotionally attached to having him in his life, because he's always going to accept the fact that in order for me to keep him in my life, I have to fund whatever he wants me to fund to keep that relationship going. And I feel like Patrick is, again, I keep bringing this up. He had lost his mother 3 months before when this started filming. So he has and the mother is the parent that raised him. Yeah. So, and the father was a parent that wasn't there. So he's clinging on to his next parent. And without his dad, he's alone in the world, right? Yeah. And only people who've lost both parents will understand what it means to be alone, and that feeling. It's a feeling that you can never break. You can't shake that feeling. It's just knowing that everyone that made you who you are is not there. And I feel like he's so emotionally attached to keeping him there. He doesn't care about the apartment. He doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about whatever he asks. He's always got to do whatever he can to preserve that relationship, when that relationship should be free. It should be a relationship that his dad wants to have with him, but his dad doesn't want to have any type of relationship with him. Yeah. Because he was like, "Oh, you're my son. I love you." I was like, "Why is this the first time you're saying that to him?" Yeah. On this trip.
It is not a child's place to beg a father or a mother to want to have something to do with them. It's not a child's place. It is a parent's place to do anything and everything they can for their child, move mountains for them if possible. You know what I'm saying? So why is that fair to Patrick, that Patrick is having to beg his dad or do things financially for his dad to even want to have anything to do with him? If he was not paying him rent, if he was not giving him money, that man wouldn't have anything to do with Patrick, and that's very sad.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what John tried to say. He was like, you do realize if you didn't have any money, if you couldn't help him financially, this relationship wouldn't exist. And Patrick, hear it. He's like, no, we built this bond. The bond was, around the apartment. And it's like, no, John is 100% right. When his dad realized that Patrick was well off on TV, he could bring a lot to this happens a lot. How many times have I watched a reality show where the person will talk about how they had a distant parent, absent parent, and then all of a sudden during filming, that parent pops up and they want to be in their life. Remember Sam and Citra? Yeah, Sam and Citra. He was like, "Oh, my mom was never in my life. She wasn't around." But then when those cameras showed up, she was ready to come to the wedding. She was ready to take Citra wedding dress shopping. She was ready to be a part of that opportunity. Your children are not opportunities, guys. Like, if your child has no money, homeless, or they have $1 million, you should love them the exact same.
Absolutely.
And expect nothing, right? Like it really boggles me, these parents that believe, you know, they're my child as long as there's something in it for me. And it's like, who's raising parents to believe that, you know, you can have a child and then just shoo them off to the side until they become profitable or they become something that you can use?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Sickening.
So, so Lauren and Alexi were on too. I forgot.
Yeah.
They're very forgetful. And Alexi actually said that he is against the surgery, which obviously I understand, but he actually brought up, you know, you should talk to somebody, a therapist, you know, before you continue. And ironically, their friend, a close friend, is a therapist. And, you know, she gave her opinion and she was like, I don't ever think it's okay for somebody to have plastic surgery for, you know, body dysmorphia or body image issues. She's like, I don't agree with it. I don't think that that's the root of the problem. But we have to understand, when people have these issues, and their mind makes them believe that the issues are outer, right? Like the mind is a very complicated thing. You'll feel like, oh, well, I'm happy except I don't like this. And then your mind will think, well, if you didn't have this particular issue or ailment or problem area on your body, you'll be happy. But happiness has nothing to do with on the outside. I watched the show My 600-Pound Life, and there are people who are just as happy 400 or 500 pounds than they are 130 pounds. Like, it has nothing to do what's going on the outside. It's all here. And then when those people go and speak to a doctor or a therapist, they are able to unravel those issues, like why they're eating their feelings, why they're going through that. And it's all in the mind. And a lot of people think you can solve so many issues with outer physical surgery or whatever you want to call it. But Lauren is definitely someone who could very well benefit sitting down and just having a deep conversation from childhood on with a therapist and just let it all out and hear those issues. You know, I think therapy is therapeutic.
Yeah.
I told them, I'm very open about it. I go to therapy. I've been in it most of my life. I had a pretty rough upbringing, and, you know, I think that it makes you, when you tell yourself things, it helps you to say it to someone else so they can repeat it. Because my therapist will tell me things all the time. She'll repeat just what I said, but hearing it from her mouth, I'll hear it in a different way. And I think that Lauren is definitely somebody who needs that. You know, I feel like she's beautiful. She's a mother. She has an amazing purpose, you know, her purpose in the world. Because I think Alexi said, you're looking for your purpose in the world. She has multiple. Yeah. But until she can see those purposes and respect what she brings to her family, she's never going to be able to understand that. Yep, I agree. So hopefully she'll go and get some therapy and she'll be totally fine, right? Like, I definitely think that their marital issues are non-existent. I think that they love each other, but I do think if this is a real, Scott has apologized to George. Has he really? That's news to me. I did not know that. I got a text that someone sent me a video. Yeah, me too. So yeah, I mean, I'd have to watch the video before I say I accept his apology. I have to see the context. But like I said, I don't want any ill will towards him. So if he's sorry, you know, maybe the lines of communication could be open. I'm not ready to be friends, right? But if that's how he feels, I'm open to hearing his explanation, right? Like, I'm a very. And I got my plane ticket. Dee just went and gassed up. Shit was getting real. No, it's okay, Riley. Yeah, I got a bunch of text messages that were a video of him, but
you gotta watch his body language, George, and you gotta like really, really listen to what he's saying, because just because he's saying he's sorry, just because he's apologizing, does not mean that he actually means it. It needs to be sincere.
Right, exactly. It's like somebody messaged me earlier and they said you whatever, you're live chickened him out from doing his or whatever, and then another person said you canceled him or something with your live, and I don't know if this has anything to do with that, because I apparently a lot of people were reaching out to him after this live that I did. So I don't know if that. I'm gonna ask Riley if he apologized to him also. Yeah, that's right. Well, Riley said I don't accept his apology.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that
always remember a snake is always going to be a snake.
Yep, 100%. They're going to strike
Because
fire.
if he can go on social media, and if he can talk about you and Riley the way he did, when I've never even heard y'all even say anything like bad about him, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if he can do that to y'all, then, and if he wants to go around and then he wants to say he's sorry, it's going to be very hard to believe that that's a sincere apology. It's because everybody is attacking him for going after the wrong people.
Yeah, that was my first thought. Like, are you sorry? Are you sorry that people are holding you accountable for what you did? Right? Like, because I know that he doesn't particularly like to be held accountable. So if people are holding you accountable for your actions and you don't like it, that might make you warrant an apology. But you have to mean that you're sorry in order for it to mean something. And a lot of times, apologies are, I'm sorry that I have to be accountable for what I did.
Yep.
And, I don't want to hear those. Those do nothing for me. So, all right. So next week is the first episode of the 5-part tell-all. I'm kind of excited. Did you guys watch the previews? It kind of looked like Angela kicked Michael out of the house. Did y'all see that? Yeah. She said, "Pack it, get out."
The first episode, and there's
no. That's probably third or fourth. You're right. We're not going to get that first, but I'm excited. I'm assuming that the house would be before the tell-all, or what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they stayed the first 2 nights together, then the tell-all was after, or do you think they did the tell-all, then they stayed in the house? Like, what do you think?
I think they said that the first 2 are in the house, and then the tell-all's after.
Oh, so they're gonna let them build a rapport or negative rapport with each other, then put them at the tell-all, so they'll fight more. Because I saw that Ed was coming after the ladies in the hot tub, which ironically he was doing the same shit on The Last Resort. He was yelling at the women in the hot tub at The Last Resort. Do you remember that? It was Molly.
I hope Patrick bust him in the damn mouth. I wish, you know what? I wish Ed would try to talk to me the way he be talking to women. I would be the last woman he ever talked to like that.
Dee and I would sit in the hot tub with him gladly, but I also think Dee and I are the only 2 getting out.
See,
most definitely.
I believe that. That's why I want to make sure y'all are never in a hot tub with him, because I don't know if I can fix that. Right? Like, I don't know if I can fix that, so I have to keep y'all away. But
it was self-defense. Self-defense.
Will people believe that though?
Yes.
He's like 3 feet tall. I don't know if people believe that. All we have to
do is delete these videos.
Every single one, right? But apparently, according to Angela's PI, even if we do, he can still find it somehow. Yeah. Apparently, he said that if it touched the internet, it's still there. So yeah. So next week we're gonna get into the finale, which this is the first time I've been really excited about tell-all, right? Because lately they just been long and drawn out and boring and the letdown. But this one specifically, this preview, I was like, wow, I'm actually excited. I would have a watch party to this. Like, I'm excited for this. And then tomorrow we're gonna get into The Other Way, which is just starting, because I think there's like at least 1 or 2 people we haven't even met yet, because I was going through my following and I'm following at least 2 people from that season that I haven't met yet on the show. So that's fun. I love meeting new people on the show, especially people that haven't been on the show for like 8 years. So I'm excited to get into The Other Way, which is my favorite. And it's going to be a long season. We're probably going to be watching this till Thanksgiving. It's only an hour long, so we're going to be into this for a while, but still, I'm happy about that. So we're gonna end this. I'm gonna go watch this apology now and see what's going on with that. But thank you guys for joining. Thank you to my dream team, my co-host Cara and Dee for being here. Oh, thank you, KM, for the badge. You don't have to do that. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're gonna be discussing The Other Way. Oh, and we're getting close to the last episode of Unexpected. We're gonna do a season end recap. Because things have been crazy. We haven't been able to do each episode, but I definitely want to get into that because there's a bunch of things on that show that are just weird. And I just want to talk about that. So we're going to get into that too. I don't know when the finale is. I'll get back to you guys, but we're going to do like a season end recap on that. We're going to just go live and talk about all of the craziness that went on Unexpected this season too. All right, everybody, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you all tomorrow night back here, same place, different time. I'll put it on my story. Everybody have a good night.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.